YouTube class. It's going to be about a 20-minute basic flow, very gentle, a little challenging if you're new to yoga, but who doesn't love a good challenge? So you want to get a mat and you want to put it on a hard, flat surface. So if you need to pause me or whatever you need to do, go ahead. We're going to start in child's pose. And if you don't know what that is, you can look up at me anytime for an example. But you're going to bring your sorry for laughing. So you're going to bring your knees together, your toes and heels together, and tuck your toes and sink your hips back into your heels. Extend your arms out and let your forehead rest on the mat. And if it doesn't feel comfortable to bring your knees together, you can separate them a little bit. And I want you to go ahead and just take a really deep breath in. And as you exhale, sigh it out the mouth and let any ideas or expectations you have for the next 20 minutes go. I would love if you would let any ideas you have about yoga go as well. And just bring your focus to your breath and use what I say as a guide for you to observe and explore your own mind, body, spirit, all the fun stuff that us yogis like to say. So go ahead and take another deep inhale. Exhale, let it all go. All the BS, all the things you're thinking about, just let it sigh out the mouth. And then I want you to start bringing your focus to your breath. Notice if you can feel anything when you breathe, or if it's just super shallow and all you can feel is your lungs inflating. And just notice it without any judgment, without any expectation. Remember, we let all that go about 30 seconds ago. There's no going back to it now. So I want you to just focus on taking really long inhales and exhales throughout this practice. And think of growing your breath from the base of your spine all the way to the crown of your head on every inhale. And every exhale, think of just exhaling it in the same fashion from the bottom up, just to help regulate the mind, the focus. It all goes to the breath. So we're slowly going to make our way up to a tabletop position. So that means just lift your torso up and bring your shoulders over your wrist and your hips over your knees. And we're going to play around with how we place our hands here. So I want you to spread your hands out wide and then think of sinking in the heels of your hands into the mat and lifting up so that your hands become sort of like a suction cup and the cup of your hand isn't on the mat. And think of drawing those lower forearms towards you and the biceps away from you. And let the shoulders kind of relax away from the ears, shoulder blades down the back. And making that spine nice and level. And check in with your jaw and your tongue here and see if it's holding any tension. And if it is, just kind of think of softening it a bit. We're going to take some cat-cows. So on an inhale, I want you to drop your belly and lift your gaze. And on an exhale, round it out and drop your neck in between your biceps and let it hang heavy. And immediately, I'm going to let you go at your own pace with these. Just make sure you're inhaling, opening up to cow. And then as you exhale, you round it out to cat. Keeping those shoulders over the wrist and the hips over the knees is a fun little game to play while you're doing this. You can also think of shifting some weight into your knees to help balance it out. But very slowly, we're going to come back to a neutral tabletop space. Coming back to the breath, inhaling, kind of growing the spine. Exhaling, kind of releasing any tension that might be knotted up. And then very slowly we're going to inhale and reach the right arm out in front of us and immediately notice how unbalanced we are. Another fun little game to play here is trying to level out the weight in all three of your rooted limbs. But we're going to make it easier. So on your next inhale, I want you to try to reach that left leg out behind you. It makes balance so much easier, especially if you remember to kind of push the floor away with your left hand and treat your hand like a suction cup. I don't know if any of you looked up and saw me kick that trash can, but definitely rewind when we're done. And here's when it gets tricky. I want you to try to bring your knee to your elbow and round out the spine. And then you can immediately extend back out. And we're going to do that a couple more times. So exhale, knee to elbow, elbow to knee. And if you're struggling with balance, just laugh it off. Inhale, extend. Exhale, round it back out, elbow to knee, knee to elbow, laughing at yourself if this is a struggle. Inhale, stretch it back out. Exhale, bring your knee back down to meet its mate, parallel. Bring your arm back down to meet its mate, parallel to each other. Maybe taking a cat-cow here if it feels good. It's kind of in lieu of a vinyasa. If you don't know what that is, we'll get to that later. Coming back to a neutral tabletop, we're going to inhale and extend that left arm out in front of us this time. Immediately noticing the different imbalance, remembering to breathe. And really feel all those muscles in your fingertips reaching. And then we're going to inhale and lift the right leg out behind us. And really think of flexing that right foot as you reach it behind you. Kind of like you're being pulled in two opposite directions. And then as you exhale, bring the knee to the elbow, elbow to knee. Yeah, we're doing that again on this side. Inhale, extend, back out. And then exhale, knee to elbow, elbow to knee. Remembering to have fun with it. Inhale, extend back out. One more time. Exhale, knee to elbow, elbow to knee. Inhale, extend. And on an exhale, you can put all your limbs back down. Let them find their partners, their mates. Hopefully you think that's funny. And we're going to take another cat-cow here. It kind of just helps balance you. And then we're going to tuck our toes. And I want you to lift your knees just a little bit. And remember the suction cup thing I said about your hands? And turning your forearms inward and your biceps away from your ears. Do that. And slowly start to push the floor away and sink back into your hips. And see if you can straighten out your legs as you do that. Maybe even bringing your heels towards the mat, but they don't have to. And coming into like a down dog. And if this is a new space for you, you can keep your knees as bent as you need to. But if it feels good to stretch the heels towards the mat, do it. Let that neck hang heavy and really push the floor away with your arms. The idea is to have as long of a spine as we can, even if that means we got to bend our knees a little bit. Breathing here. I want you to lift your gaze in between your hands and start to tiptoe your feet up to meet your hands. That may mean you just have to walk a little bit. That's okay. But once you get there, come into a forward fold where you have your hips over your knees. Again, even if that means you got to bend your knees. And letting your belly, chest, chin kind of fall over your knees and your neck hangs heavy. Play around with balance here. So I want you to put all your weight into your tippy toes and lift your heels up, and then put all your weight into your heels and lift your toes up. Just kind of playing around with balance. And then once you find a balanced state, I want you to think of rooting 4 corners of your feet into the mat. So that means kind of rooting in through the big toe, the pinky toe, and the inner and outer heel. It really helps find balance when you're in standing postures or doing anything with your feet. We're going to inhale to a half flat back. So that means walking your hands up to maybe your thighs, maybe your shins, and extending from the tailbone out. And just breathing here for a moment, noticing what it feels like, seeing if you can keep all four corners of those feet rooted while the hips are over the heels. My hips aren't really over my heels, so if you can't do it, it's okay. We let go of the idea of perfection. We did that at the beginning. And on your next exhale, fold back out. The Sanskrit term for this is Uttanasana. And then on an inhale, I want you to come all the way up to standing. You can circle your arms up and overhead, but it doesn't have to be methodical when you do it. And once you get there, just reach your fingertips parallel to each other up towards the sky and think of rooting all four corners of those feet into the mat, and then think that someone is pulling your hands up from the ceiling, so you're getting stretched in two opposite directions. Softening the shoulders away from the ears, and maybe even thinking of stacking the shoulders over the hips and the hips over the feet. Wow. And then on an exhale, we're going to lower the left arm down and side bend over, bringing our gaze up towards those right fingertips. Inhale, back up, straight. And then we're going to do the other side. Exhale, lower the right arm down and side bend, opening up the left side, gazing up towards those left fingertips. And then inhale, bring it back up to neutral, really stretch it out. I went a little bit fast there, so if you need to catch up, that is okay. And then on an exhale, we're going to fold back over our legs. Think belly, chest, chin, you fold, just because it gives the idea of keeping the spine nice and long. And on an inhale, we're going to come back to a half flat back, but this time we're going to plant our palms and step our feet back, coming into a plank. I would recommend bringing it to a modified plank so your knees are together. You know, like the push-ups girls do in high school. I hate that that's so gendered, but you know what I mean? We're going to do that version. So push the floor away with your hands. And then we're going to slowly bring our weight forward and think of pinning our elbows towards each other as we lower all the way down towards our bellies. So you want your elbows kind of over your wrist, and think of sending your palms, like not your palms, the heels of your hands into the mat. Untuck the toes, and we're going to inhale and lift the chest. Think of sending the back of your shoulder space to the front of your chest, and just hold that for a moment. This is called Cobra. So as you inhale, you kind of feel your toe, word vomit right there. You feel yourself lengthening from your toes all the way up to your crown. And if you've had enough of this, you can just exhale and lower one of your cheeks to the mat and let out a big sigh. And then turn your head to the other side and do the same thing again. And then we're going to do another little heart opener. So I want you to bring your arms out in front of you and think of putting your shoulders over your elbows and your palms facing down on the mat and inhaling up. So it's kind of like what we just did. Our arms are just more supported. This is called Sphinx pose. And it's just another gentle way to open up the shoulder space, the heart space. And then as you exhale, lower your head back down to the mat. Let your arms kind of rest alongside you. And we're going to bring our elbows back to our wrist. So when we lowered from our plank straight down to our belly, think that. And then we're going to push up and away from the floor and come back to child's pose, Balasana. So toes, heels together. Your bottom sinks towards your heels. Your arms extend out in front of you. A lot of details today in class because I don't know your guys' skill level. So if I'm over-explaining myself, let me know after in the comments. Just take a few breaths here. And then very slowly, we're gonna kind of walk it up to a seated space, very mindfully, becoming aware of everything our body's doing. And once we get there, we're gonna extend our legs out in front of us, but keep our torso nice and tall. Fix our hair if it's in our face. Circle our arms up and overhead. And this is where it's gonna get really fun. We're going to keep our sit bones really rooted into the mat here, but we're going to think of folding over our rooted legs, our extended legs. And that may mean you don't go very far and your hands stay at your shins. That's okay. Just take a few moments here to kind of notice what happens in your body and in your breath. Inhale, bring it back up to a tall, neutral spine. And very slowly, we're going to lower it all the way down so we're laying on our backs. Hug our knees into our chest. Give ourselves a little hug. We should all love ourselves a little more. I know it sounds cheesy, but you also know it's true. So give yourself a little hug. Do it. No one's watching. Bring your forehead to your knees. Bonus points if you whisper you love yourself. Anyway, go ahead and lower that right foot to the mat. So all four corners of that right foot are rooted. And hug your left knee into your chest. And then we're going to kind of bring our left ankle over our right knee. So it kind of makes like a figure four. And you can stay right here if that is enough work for you. But if you want to open your hips up a little more, wrap your hands around your thigh or your shin and bring that right knee into the chest. And it'll give you a little bit deeper of a stretch. And just noticing what comes up in your mind as you're doing this. Our hips are known as our emotional center. So sometimes when people get into hip opening poses, it'll bring up some emotions. If you have your clasp around your right leg, go ahead and lower it. And then go ahead and hug that left knee into the chest. And let that left foot come down. And hug just the right knee in. And then start to bring that right ankle across to the left knee. Doing the same thing we did on the last side. Maybe you want to reach around and find a clasp, maybe not. Noticing the difference too is always interesting to me. And if one hip feels a little more open or a little more closed, I'm always like, why is that? It's so weird. Makes you wonder. Remembering to breathe and release any tension you're holding around your eyes or your jaw. If you have the clasp, slowly release it and lower that left foot back down. Unwrap that right leg and hug that right knee back into the chest, bringing the left knee to meet it. Giving yourself a nice little hug. We're going to lower our knees down to our right side and our gaze to our left sides for a little spinal twist. Taking a big exhale when we get there, just to think of getting any kinks out of the breath that we may have. Maybe bringing our hand to our knee so we get a little bit of a deeper twist, but only if it feels good. And then on an inhale, bring your knees back to center. On an exhale, drop your knees to the opposite side and let your gaze turn to the opposite side as well. Another big breath. We always remind you to breathe a lot, us yoga teachers. It's because we know how hard it is to bring your focus to your breath, how easy it is to lose sight of it, and because we know how important it is to be aware. Inhale, bring your knees back to center. Give yourself a little squeeze, a little hug. Like I said, no one's watching. Don't feel weird about it. And then on an exhale, I want you to extend your legs out, extend your arms out, and just lie flat on your back. Let your eyes close. Even bring your shoulder blades together and down. Take a big inhale. Exhale, side out. Release any tension you're holding, or try to release any tension you're holding. We're going to sit here for a few breaths in silence. It is known as Shavasana. I think of it as playing dead for a few moments. It's the most wonderful feeling. And I want you to kind of, in your mind, imagine a bright white light like the sun shining on your skin. Almost like you're a lizard right now, sitting in the sun in the desert, and the sun is just warming you up, warming your body up, making you feel nice. But you're a lizard, so you have no worries, and you can just enjoy the feeling. I'm still here. The video did not end. I'll bring you out of Shavasana in a few more breaths. Very slowly, bring your awareness back to your breath, back to your body, maybe wiggling your fingers and your toes, maybe rolling your wrist or your ankles, maybe reaching up above you and stretching. A lot of maybes right here. Choose wisely. And as you feel ready, roll over to your side in the fetal position, signifying kind of like a fresh start. And then very slowly use your hands to walk you up to a seated space. Sit bones rooting, spine nice and tall, letting your eyes close if it feels comfortable, letting your palms face the sky. We're going to end today's class with one big inhale and exhale. So big inhale through the nose. Big exhale out the mouth. Softly blink your eyes open. If you watch the video, you'll see me bringing my hands to heart center and saying Shanti and bowing. That's just a yogi thing to express gratitude. Shanti also means peace. Thank you guys so much for practicing with me today. Subscribe.